extra screen up here at the top of the device, and basically think of this second screen as kind of like how you use the Edge screen on the S6 Edge or on the Note Edge. You can quickly launch apps, like you can get into the camera. You can also use it to access contacts. You can use it for multitasking. You can leave it on all day, and LG says that it'll only affect up to 5% of the battery of the phone, or you can turn it off. And right next to that second screen, you see two front-facing cameras. These are both 5-megapixel cameras, and the difference between the two is that one has a field of view of 80 degrees, and one has a field of view of 120 degrees. So LG is saying that basically they want with this phone for you to be able to remove the need for a selfie stick, and that 120-degree camera capture everybody that's in the shot that you're trying to get. On the back, we have the same 16-megapixel camera that we had in the LG G4. So you can expect the camera performance to be very similar to the G4. Fast autofocus, really great detail, really neutral colors, but it will all probably run a little bit faster. There's a Snapdragon 808 processor in here, but there's 4 gigs of RAM this time around, as opposed to what's found on the G4. One thing you'll notice is that the curve in the display is gone. This is a flat display. And where LG has made a lot of phones with plastic before, this one has stainless steel along the sides and throughout the body, and then a silicon back that actually looks a lot like what you'd find on Motorola Droid phones. It's got sort of cut in throughout here, and it feels kind of rough, but it definitely feels like it wouldn't slip out of your hand. You also have a fingerprint sensor on the back, which is pretty standard these days, and LG puts the volume buttons back here, so there are no buttons along the edges. So you have this nice, smooth design that does feel good in the hand. It's also 191 grams, so about the same weight as the iPhone 6s Plus, and 8.9 millimeters, so it's not too thin, but it's also not too thick. Now, LG really wants to sell the V10 to creators, where it looks at the phones like the G4 or the G Flex 2 as phones for consumers of media. And so some of the things that they've done this time around is some software tweaks that'll play to people who really want to use this phone to make media on the go. One of those things is a whole suite of manual controls for the video. So a lot like how there were manual controls for photos in the G4's photo shooting, we have a whole bunch of stuff. You can see the left and right audio channel here. We have different frame rates that you can shoot at. You have optical image stabilization, as well as a chip inside that should help with the software stabilization. You can control things like ISO, shutter speed, all within the video controls, and that was something you could never really do before if you were shooting video on an LG phone. And there's some other software tweaks that should play into this creator role as well. There's a high-quality 32-bit audio digital analog converter in here as well. So basically, you're going to be getting a lot for what you're going to be paying here for this phone. It's also got a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, which is replaceable, but you're only going to be able to get one variant as far as the storage goes with the V10. LG is selling it in a 64 gigabyte variety, but no more and no less. You can, however, use a micro SD card to expand the storage, and LG says they've tested it up to 200 gigabytes. So this phone's going to be released pretty soon in Korea, and then it will make it to the US in early November. There's no detail on pricing yet, and that'll be dependent definitely on the carriers here in the United States, but expected to be about as much as an iPhone 6s Plus.